And we are back with one more episode for Diffusion podcast. And today we have Rafael Castaneda, one of the most seasoned voices in the Web3 ecosystem in Brazil, and also blockchain analyst. In this episode, we will cover the transformation that the country is going through and their pilot for a digital central bank currency. Rafael, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Great, Ricardo. First of all, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and sharing this space and this podcast with you guys. So, my journey is a journey of software and of philosophy, as I usually say. I have a graduation and a master thesis in computer science at the Military Institute of Engineering in Brazil. And up until the 40 years or so, something like that, I was like a traditional guy. I had a public servant job as a teacher in a public school. I was also a software consultant in Web 2. But eventually, in the beginning of 2001, end of 2020, I discovered crypto and I just fell in love with crypto. And I decided that I had to live my life with crypto, but not like live my life buying and selling magic coins. But I wanted to join the crypto revolution, the crypto transformation. As a software engineer, I got to experience firsthand the Web 2 revolution, and like when the internet almost took over the world in 10 years from 2000 to 2010. And I saw the potential of a technological revolution. And I also grew a lot as a person and as a professional during the rise of the internet. And for me, what we are now seeing in crypto is a second wave of the internet, is a natural extension, a natural evolution of the internet. And as soon as I realized that, I wanted to jump in early and be a builder and be part of everything that's happening in crypto and that is soon bound to be happen with the world.
Well, Rafael, that's an amazing journey. And when I think about Brazil, especially, the country has developed so quick in terms of crypto finance, more especially, and I would say digitally, because we're not only talking about crypto, but if we look a few years ago, we had a surge and the rise of the fintechs, and you even got PIX, which is a digital form of payment, which is quite similar with blockchain transactions. It's like so efficient, and I think it kind of helped a lot of unbanked people in Brazil to, let's say, get a fair access to finance. Now, I know Brazil is moving forward with their own CBDC. Yeah. So if you like to talk a little bit about that and explain how that would work, that would be amazing.
Sure, yes. Our CBDC project, it is still a pilot, as it is in most parts of the world. When we say that countries are building CBDCs, it's more fair to say that they are experimenting with CBDCs and they are seeing what technologies can be brought to the table to improve their monetary policies and the way that the economy works in the society as a whole. So when you talk about Brazil, our pilot project started called as Digital Real or Real Digital in Portuguese. And soon it evolved to be like an acronym that is DREX. So when we talk about DREX, we talk about a project that is experimenting with Ethereum technology in the form of the Hyperledger Besu, which is a framework that emulates or that builds an Ethereum virtual machine. So what our central bank is doing, that it is experimenting how our currency would work if it was set up on top of an Ethereum virtual machine. And it's not to say that we want to do that to have instant payments or instant transactions. As you said, we have PIX in Brazil. It is like account abstraction for commercial banks. If we could use the crypto language, it's the government doing account abstraction, but you can transact from any bank to any bank, practically 24 by 7, and you don't have to know the person's public key, which could be their phone, their email, their social security number in Brazil, which is the CPF, or even a random key, which is a hash code, by the way. But what our central bank is interested in, it's on the programmable aspects of crypto and of the Ethereum technology. So it's experimenting actually with smart contracts. So one of the first experiments of this pilot project is to tokenize the treasury debt or the national debt. So we can issue bonds via tokenized way, and they can be like traded and operated, and they can be yielded right on blockchain technology. So it is like, at least in my opinion, a very advanced project, as several countries are still looking to blockchain technology or CBDC as the means to have something like PIX. But we are still like going one step further. We're looking what we can we do with programmable money, how it would be if our society had smart contracts like built in on the monetary policy and on the primitive foundations of the economy itself. And if you start talking about experimenting with the tokenization of the national debt, I think that is talking about like tokenizing the spine of the economy, like the basis, the foundation of the economy, in which we control interest rates and other stuff. So for me, it's a very bold and very forward project. And at least from what I know, some guys from central bank, from the project, I can say for myself that the guys that are working at our central bank, they are really really understandable of crypto. They have deep knowledge of crypto, and they are very smart and very advanced in crypto technology. So for us, I think that is good. I know that some people in crypto, which are more fond of the old anarchist view, doesn't like that's advancement of governments. But I myself see this as an evolution that is natural and is expected, and is part of the symptoms of crypto technology going mainstream and being adapted and used in other sections of humanity as a whole.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And to be honest, you being one of the most influential voices in the crypto industry in Brazil, you play a huge role, even within, let's say, the community, the crypto community that is usually, let's say, is more aligned with anarcho-capitalism views. Like me personally, I have started as a Bitcoin maximalist, but today I do believe in broader ecosystem, especially intercommunication between different networks. And I think interoperability will play a huge role in the next few years. More importantly, if you are thinking about uh let's say just the average person, when they use banking services, they're looking for a seamless experience. They're not looking for, how difficult it is for a regular person to open a MetaMask wallet. They just want to have the same experience they have with Nubank, with C9, or for instance, to compare for people that are listening from Europe, with Revolut, with and 65, and then it has to be as easy as possible for the person who's working every day on the streets, like selling, street food. It should be like a very easy experience, and I can only see that happening with the help of the institutions. So in that sense, that's a bit like that's part of how the digital currency, like being accepted in a national level, could help the entrance of new users in DeFi. Like I think that it's important to emphasize the connection between, like CBDCs being, let's say, developed and, let's say, being accepted by the public, and working in favor of decentralized finance as a whole.
Yes, that's a nice question. A very, very deep question. If we want, we can go really deep with that. I'll try to keep you in a somewhat intermediary level, for the sake of simplicity and time. But when we talk about DeFi, we talk about autonomous system. So we talk about, at least on the primary ideal of DeFi, where it originates from, is the idea that we can set up economical systems that have no rule of law, or at least rule of government law. So we can like dispense banks, we can get away with loans, entities, and fintechs and all of sorts. We do everything on the blockchain, and right now we have a self-sovereign economical system where everyone can participate. So this ideally romantic vision of crypto, if we say so, no, anarchic romantic vision of crypto, we are talking about abolishing government law, abolishing institutional banks, and like let's do everything with technology and go with that. At least it's an extension of Bitcoin view. If Bitcoin would be like a self-sovereign coin, all this set of smart contracts and the DeFi ecosystem would be a self-sovereign economy with all the sorts of services and financial instruments that we are used to have on the traditional world. But that is not how it is being evolved. And I talk about that since 2022. I did like a podcast in 22 where I said something that was somewhat polemic, and I got a lot of how to say slash back, or I got a lot of hating. It's not hating, but I got a lot of critics from what I said. I said in 2002 that we were going to see DeFi protocols that were going to proactively and by themselves seek to obey regulation of governments. And people were like, oh my God, you're so crazy. Like, DeFi is to get away from government. DeFi is to get away from taxation. DeFi is to get away from the rule of law. And from my point of view, it's not about that. DeFi is not about abolishing governments. DeFi is about automation. So why are institutionals, why are banks, why are governments, why are something like big companies looking at crypto now and trying to employ crypto technology? It's not because they got in love with decentralization. It's not because they woke up one day and they saw the word of Satoshi. They're, oh my God, let's decentralize the world. It's so beautiful, the beauty of decentralization. That is not what brings institutional capital. Let's take, for instance, Simpla. Simpla is the number one seller of event tickets in Brazil. They are right now operating in crypto technology. All their tickets and the secondary market for the ticket, it's settled on Polygon network, on the Matic blockchain. And they are not there because of decentralization. They are there because the blockchain is solving a problem for them. If they did not have the blockchain, they will have to program everything, all the settlement, all the custody, all the workarounds. They had all the servers, make all the network connections. So when you have the blockchain ready to go, you can leverage the blockchain to empower your business. And when you talk about money and you talk about CBDCs and institutionals, we have like lots of legacy systems. They are multiple systems, each one developed in a different language with a different API. And to interconnect this whole myriad of systems, banking systems, fintech systems, economical systems, central bank systems, it's a mess, especially when you consider cross-border transactions. So crypto comes along offering a standard. Like, guys, we have like a standard for blockchain. We have a standard for smart contracts. We have a standard for programming money. And if we all adhere to this standard, then we are all going to cut costs. We are all going to dismiss some middlemen, and we are going to make more money. That's what matters in the end for the institutional world. And crypto is proving to be an excellent tool for cutting costs and an excellent tool for efficiency. That is why it is being adopted. And if you think about CBDCs, like get, for instance, the M-Bridge project, which is like a BRICS powered project to do an adversary for the SWIFT system, which is all settled on blockchain. So like if we're going to have a global system for cross-border transactions, which better technology to do that than blockchain? Much better than an old proprietary system, lots of like choke points and problems. So I think that is the way crypto is going to be adopted, be like via permission or permissionless way, doesn't matter, but it's going to be adopted because it is efficient and because it automates and standardizes the flow of money.
Okay, absolutely agree with you. And to be honest, this is the kind of view that we have to promote within the crypto community, not only in Brazil, but I would say especially in Latin America. I know different regions in the world will have different, let's say, levels of understanding and consciousness about what is happening. And yeah, like let's be honest, like think like we will still live in the same world. It's not like look we're we're inventing stuff, we're just improving them. And when we think about blockchain, we're just talking about networks. I saying better networks, more efficient, autonomous, automated, that reduce costs, bring transparency, and that per se is already an advancement. And of course, it can be programmed, it can be modular. So it's a whole lot. Say when we think about Ethereum, especially, we are talking about a new internet. So can you imagine like the impact of this for economies like Brazil or you know I would say the global south as a whole being able to transact tokens, tokenized versions of their own commodities. So we're bringing the physical world into the internet, but with the speed of the internet, things will change a lot. Of course, we have to educate people, and we can probably now focus on, let's say, on communities, on how to prepare developing countries to be onboarded in this new phase of the internet, of the digital economy, most importantly, and how they can leverage all the opportunities in their favor.
Yes, great question. Crypto as a whole, it's not only like a tool that or a technology that impacts economic aspects. Crypto also brings a lot of challenges to governance questions and issues. And right now, we cannot ignore the fact that we are living in like in a world of turmoil. Some would say that we live on the shadow of a second Cold War, perhaps on the pronounce of a third World War. And that is not like some guy, some crypto crazy guy eating Cheetos on the basement, living on the house of his mother. This is something like that great analysts and renowned persons are talking about. The world is not the same world that was before the advent of the internet. We have like several issues that are urgent and that need solution. Things around immigration, things around economic crisis, things around polarization between left and right. So all these issues are bringing pain to the world, and they are like forecasting a future which is um, giving really like lots of bad expectations for the next generations. So we also have a problem with the upcoming generation, and older people complain that the younglings don't want to work, they don't want to engage in the economy, they don't want to foster more childs. But from the other hand, we are not presenting them with good prospects for the future. So what would you expect from them? What would we expect from someone that's growing up in a world of turmoil and of apocalyptic forecasts, and we want this person to be a healthy participant of the society? So we have lots of challenges in the current world. And okay, it's good that crypto can bring economic efficiency and it can make banks run cheaper and it can make rich people have more money. That is one aspect. But we also must have like a political response. We need to find better and new ways to organize ourselves. We need to find new and better ways to reach consensus. And right now we are showing that we are, as time goes by, we get like less capable of reaching consensus from a socio-political point of view. We are splitting ourselves and we are growing discontent and hate speech and like cultural warfare. So when we talk about community formation, especially in the Web3 scenario, it's not just about, let's bring people together on a Discord server so they can play some games and they can like speculate on some tokens. We are actively experimenting on new forms of reaching consensus and of bringing people together in order to consolidate their efforts for a common goal. And what I personally see in crypto is that it's able to bring people that would not be together in any other place than crypto. If you go to the traditional world, you have the cultural silos of the traditional world. But you go to crypto, like take a thing, for instance, in my community, you have people that have a leftist point of view, people that are from the right. You have like a guy that works as a car cleaner talking about a new token with a guy that I know that it's like a multi-millionaire, and they are talking like they were the best friends of their lives. So when we talk about crypto, we talk about also a revolution or a challenge to current systems of governance. And that is not only good, that is something that we actively need if we intend to make the world better in the future.
Yeah, I believe technology unites people. Of course, at the bottom line, culture plays a huge role more than anything. And the interesting part is you mentioned about the younglings, and I, like, let's be honest, a crypto, I would say, is the finest of the young generation. Of course, now we are becoming more heterogeneous, and we're having, as crypto is becoming more democratized, and then of course we have different niches being also included in that, and inclusion, of course, I think is one of the biggest premises that we should explore. when it comes to crypto, because we're talking about uh, bringing more people into the economy through the digital tools and empowering them to also be prosper. Of course, I don't, to be completely honest, I like as you mentioned, uh, rich people keep getting richer, but what we can do better is to ensure that more people are also let's say not even becoming richer, but improving their lives. And in that sense, I think crypto can be transformational as well. Now we can probably think about uh, which tools do they need, because the economy is changing. Yeah, so a lot of so-called jobs. I don't even like to think about that. I think people usually refer themselves as their role are not going to exist. Let's say in 6 years. So we should be thinking about the digital skills to survive the fourth industrial revolution. From your perspective, what what someone is getting into this world today, what do they need? Apart, okay, we can also mention about like not only hard skills but also soft skills as well. But what do they need to thrive in the 21st century economy, focus on the digital?
Yes, nice, challenging question, this one, because the future is somewhat blur. It's not easy to see what's going to happen in the future. Like we have a fairly clear vision of current problems and the current state of affairs, but in order to grasp the future, we have somewhat like several variables that are needed to be considered. For instance, if we talk about the future of the job market, of the employment market, we need to talk about AI and the AI revolution and the prospect of like AI bringing down the costs of so much things and taking so many jobs. Some people argue that we should instead move for something like an universal basic income solution. um some people argue that you are going like to need to become AI programmers like when you had like the emergence of software. The answer for the jobs that were took by software automation was to turn these people into programmers. That is not like a definitive answer, but if you take like the thoughts of some current like futurists, they would say that with the AI revolution, we are going to have less employees and we are going to have to more businesses. So if you took that to the extreme, at the end, everyone would be his own company. We would all be like company offering services between one another. And these would have to shift from more like mindless jobs or more automated jobs to more creative jobs. I don't know if we can like have so much demand so that everyone would be a service provider, but be it one feature or another, like a future where we need to set up some kind of basic income, or be it a future where everyone becomes his or her or its own company and has its own services and its own website, its own Instagram, its own X profile, its own marketing campaign. Be it on one or another, this is going to bring so much complexity to the table, and this complexity is going to have to be managed. And I see crypto tools as an excellent way to managing be it one or both or those scenarios.
Yeah, it's quite complex to think. The world is becoming like increasingly, um, let's say we're not, we cannot think only about, oh, okay, I'm a programmer and that's it. I'm a designer and that's it. I see it like me personally. I'm becoming like more and more like in need that they have to have multiple skills in understanding the different industries or industries as well, because they're becoming blended together. As you mentioned, I believe the word, the saying, everything will be tokenized, including you, is so true. Like I came to Brazil and I saw the number of people leaving the, what was it? Let's say the CLT. Yeah, the, let's say the traditional Carta del Laboro in Brazil. We're
Yes.
moving to more like a business orientated contract between parties, like it is in Europe. Most parts of Europe is becoming like normal. So it's like people are already becoming their own businesses. And then the question is, will we have enough demand for services? Like me personally, people might think I sound like a bit of of a socialist when I think about that, but I believe it's only natural that we have a UBI, but not forced. It will just like become like, look, you're using a service and you're being rewarded by using that service because you're feeding the platform with data, with information that will become insights to develop the product and of course improve the market efficiency. So well, we're heading to the end of the podcast. We should probably talk about how value will be measured. We now have blockchain which allows us to track it, like, okay, like not everyone is educated in that yet, but I believe we will have on-chain analysts that are able to track consumer behavior. As I mentioned, we will be able to collect insights that can be transformed in, let's say, better products. So, of course, every single action that you will have on the internet will now be able to be measured. And that, of course, will facilitate for us to measure value. So if you want to focus on that point specific of how value will be generated and also measured in the new phase of the internet.
Yes, that perspective that you brought requires that we evolve this new economy and this new internet in the likes of Ethereum and Bitcoin, where the ledger is open, right? I personally don't know if we are really going to see that world come true. If we really going to live on an economy of open blockchains and like trackable and auditable transactions. um, CBDCs and CBDCs pilots, especially in Brazil, are still grappling with this question. They are like, we need privacy because if we are going to bring like the sheet balance of banks into a blockchain, then banks don't want their their balance sheets to be like transparent and auditable and verifiable and trackable. So like one bank does not want other banks to check what they are doing, where their money is going. So we are going really to see this day is yet to come, but we can see the symptoms of such a world. Okay. I think we are going to come to a point of inflection where we're going to have to decide between working with open systems or just reinventing closed systems. Balaji writes a lot about that. He has like a nice article where he talks about the shifting of axis between rightists and leftists to authoritarians and libertarians. If you take the political compass, it seems that we are heading for a new kind of conflict of ideas, which will not be between, oh, you are like on the left or you are on the right. It will be, you want to solve things from top down or you want to solve things from bottom up. And to be like a clash between the authoritarian point of view of problem solution and the decentralized problem solution point of view, a libertarian point of view. And that we see symptoms of that when we see like the clash between the Brazilian government and X, when we see the attempts on regulation of social media, the discussion around freedom of expression, what should we regulate, what should we not regulate. I'm not here to talk about right or wrong. This is not like an answer to say that one side is better or the other is worse, but it's just to note that this is the kind of conflict we're going to see. And if we progress, for instance, in a world where we have more open stuff, then I think that new kind, at least on this kind of world, a more open and transparent world, we'll have, of course, new problems, but we'll have like new tools for innovation. If you have, for instance, like the economical behavior of the population open to everyone on a common good systems, then everyone can attempt to study the economics of the country and to propose solutions and to build new services. Right now, all of this information is really scarce and protected and is like exploited by those who have access to this kind of information. You can say the same for social media. Like we do not have open social media. We have silos of information, which are the big tech companies, and they exploit this kind of information for their own benefit and their own profit, sometimes at the expense of society as a whole. So if we indeed progress to a more open world, which I would like to see, we will also see new kinds of innovation where people can gather more insights about what is really happening with us and propose more solutions for our current problems.
Yeah, look, from my perspective is um we are and look when look at history, we have been moving from chaos into order. Well, if we go back, we also had like the Wild West and the US, and now we have one of the most developed countries in the world. So I think it's normal that we go through these turmoils, and I don't believe like in a, let's say, a apocalyptic world. I believe apocalypse is also just a chapter on, let's say, a natural, let's say, cycle of the market. We have ups and downs, and in each time we have to adapt to it. I believe in the concept of safe havens and citadels, and let's say we can even think about the concept of we have small places in the world which are kind of independent. But even in China, China was like during Mao, it was quite strict, and then we moved into then Xiaoping and then Xi government, and we see cities in China that became some sort of like quite of autonomous, and they're able to develop themselves and try different policies as well. I think we should be able, to have small spaces, although all the rest of the world is like super like repressive, but we have small areas that we can try different policies and say, look, this is working. Why don't we try this in a larger scale now? So I think crypto especially allows us to do that digitally, digital first, and then we can try physically. Well, Rafael, so we have only 5 minutes left. If you want to just leave a comment on that, what I just said, and of course, mention your social medias. I think you're involved with a lot of projects, but if you want to mention something in particular as well, feel free to.
Oh, great. You gave me the perfect hook to that because I agree completely with you. I think that we don't need someone to tell us how things should be. I think we need to move towards a world of more ease of experimentation. We need to experiment more with social economical setups, with political setups. And crypto allows us to do that, indeed, because we can build digital societies in crypto. Balaji states, Balaji says on his book, The Network States, which is a very good book, that if you can like interpret his words, what he's actually saying is that blockchains are the prototype of nation states, and that we can build new kinds of society that operate on a whole digital level with their own currency, their own political foundations, their own manifest, their own constitution. And we can find new ways to organize ourselves in digital safe havens. That is awesome. That is something that really excites me and is the kind of thing that makes me hope for a better future. I also don't share like an apocalyptic vision of the future. I think we are going to improve somewhere in time and we're going to find some good answers for the current problems that we have. And I also actively work on that. So that's the hook you gave me. I would like to invite everyone to check out Valocracy. Valocracy is a proposal that we work on. I am the creator of Valocracy. It's a proposal for a foundation in the creation of digital societies in which you can like make new economical and new political systems that are different from the current incentives that we already have. So it's like a really dense manifesto, but it's worth reading. You can check it out at valocracy.xyz. And if you want to check me on social media, please follow Casta Crypto with IY, Casta Crypto. It's like international language, not Brazil crypto, it's international crypto. And check me on X, YouTube, and Instagram. So thanks a lot, Ricardo, for this invitation. It was a pleasure to talk with you today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Rafael. It was actually a pleasure to have you here today. But of course, we will have more opportunities in the future to be together. There's a lot of things changing all the time. So, of course, we have to keep track on that. Once again, guys, thank you for your audience as well. We are back with the Diffusion podcast next week. And bye.